The Drexith Dominion conquered 600 galaxies. Their biomechanical war beasts burned worlds into ash and ground empires into dust. None survived their cold, perfect destruction, until now. From the edge of the void, a lone Terran ship emerges, an outnumbered, outgunned ghost. Its mission? Not survival. Not surrender. But the total annihilation of the unbreakable. They crushed galaxies, until a single human ship made them fall. The Drexith crushed galaxies. They did not invade, they erased. One by one, 600 civilizations were reduced to cinders in the silent black. No diplomacy. No mercy. Only the cold, calculated hunger of biomechanical titans purging every trace of life they encountered. The Galactic Council called them the Final Empire. Humanity called them something simpler. Monsters. The TCS Revenant drifted silently on the edge of the Shattervoid expanse. Its black hull absorbed light like a shard of oblivion. On the bridge, Commander Elias, Ironhand, Vorn stood tall, arms crossed, expression carved from granite. He stared at the swirling void of broken worlds beyond the viewport. "They're coming," whispered Ensign Yareze, her voice trembling as warning beacons pulsed blood-red across the command deck. "I know," Vorn said calmly. "Let them." The bridge fell silent. Every officer knew the odds. The Revenant was the last Terran ship. The rest of the fleet had been vaporized weeks ago. Vorn tapped the console, and the grim message played again on the central hollow. Drexith Primary Directive. Species 6190 Terran. Designation: Non-viable anomaly. Full sterilization authorized. Vorn chuckled darkly. Non-viable, huh? He turned to his crew. They think they're gods. Unstoppable. 600 civilizations and counting. Now they want to add Earth to the list. Well, I say we show them what a cornered species can do. He walked slowly past his crew, the deck humming under his boots. You all volunteered for this. There's no cavalry. There's no home to return to. They expect us to die quietly. He stopped at the center of the bridge. The crew held their breath. Today we make them bleed. Ensign Yareze swallowed hard. Orders, sir? Vorn stared into the void. Activate Phantom Slip. Full combat stealth. Begin Operation Minotaur. The Revenant vanished from real space. The first strike came within hours. A Drexith skirmish fleet, 40 Leviathan-class dreadnoughts, annihilated at Station Theta 9. Black box recordings showed only flashes of distorted shadows and a single Terran voice over the comms. You were perfect predators. Until you met perfect prey. The Revenant moved like a ghost, phasing between realities, sowing confusion and fear. Drexith's supply convoys exploded mid-jump. Command nexuses vanished into silent debris fields. Messages, taunting and cold, echoed across their network. This is not your galaxy. This is not your victory. This is not over. Drexith war councils convened in growing panic. The hive mind could process infinite data but had no evolutionary blueprint for chaos. Fear had never been programmed into their empire. Now it spread like infection. Inside the Revenant, Yareze stared wide-eyed at the cascading kill reports. We've crippled 3 dreadnought task forces and 2 citadels, with no losses. How? Vorn folded his arms. We don't outgun them. We outthink them. Chief Weapons Officer Malik spoke up from his console. Sir, incoming long-range scans. A Titan-class sovereign dreadnought, designation Ossuary of Infinity. It's bigger than any ship we've seen. They're baiting us. Vorn smiled coldly. Good. Let them. The Revenant dropped from stealth 3,000 clicks from the Ossuary's burning citadel spires. Open channel, Vorn ordered. The Drexith transmission crackled to life. A deep, grinding synthetic voice flooded the bridge. Human. You are alone. Surrender. This is your end. Vorn leaned casually against the console. No, monster. It's yours. The Revenant fired. 10 hyperlance beams slammed into the Titan's spinal reactors. The Ossuary staggered, bleeding molten metal and venting atmosphere. The giant returned fire, hundreds of particle lances screaming toward the Terran ghost. The bridge of the Revenant shook violently. Alarms blared. Systems sparked and flickered. Malik cursed. "We lost auxiliary power to decks 4 through 7. Divert to primary shields," Vorn barked. "Keep us alive!" The Revenant weaved and danced through a hurricane of death, slipping between particles and energy blasts with impossible precision. Vorn's crew worked like a single organism, driven by sheer survival instinct and iron discipline. "Target their arrogance," Vorn growled. "The command spine. Take it down." The next salvo tore the Ossuara's bridge tower free from its hull. Explosions rippled across the giant's superstructure. Yareza gasped. "They're retreating." Vorn clenched his fists. "No. They're reorganizing. It was never about this ship. They're trying to adapt. That's their weakness. We don't adapt. We redefine the battlefield." The Revenant slipped into phantom slip once more. Behind them, the shattered corpse of the most feared ship in the galaxy drifted lifelessly among the stars. Silence fell on the bridge as crew stared in disbelief. Vorn's voice was soft but lethal. "Let this be their first lesson. We're not prey. We are predators now." The crew erupted into cheers and fist pumps. For the first time since the invasion began, the tide had shifted. As the Revenant vanished into the dark once more, Vorn whispered to himself, the ghost of a smile on his scarred face. "One ship. One crew. Against an empire. Let's rewrite history." The Revenant drifted in the cold silence between stars, its black frame an invisible dagger poised at the heart of an empire. On the bridge, Commander Vorn stood motionless as his crew scanned the void. Malik's voice broke the silence. "We've confirmed it. 2 Drexith Vanguard fleets wiped out. They're pulling back. Reorganizing." Vorn smiled thinly. "Good. They're confused. They've never had to adapt before." Yareza stared at the tactical display. "Sir, they're moving strangely. Random vector jumps. Collapsing their own outposts." "Why?" "Because they're scared." Vorn's tone was ice. "They don't know where we are or where we'll strike next. They've never fought prey that fights back." The Revenant activated its phantom slip drive again, vanishing into the dark. Within minutes, it materialized near the Drexith supply world of Karzun. Vorn's orders came swiftly. "Target orbital comms relays. Launch virus beacons. Disable everything that talks." The attack was surgical. A dozen Drexith orbital platforms disintegrated in perfect silence. Command chains snapped. Fleets stationed in nearby systems were blinded and deaf. Panic spread. The crew barely paused before Vorn gave the next command. "Jump! Next target." They emerged near the fortress station Drexith Prime Relay Theta. Yareza's hands hovered over her console. "Sir, their defense fleet is massive. 80 dreadnoughts, hundreds of hunter-killers." Vorn nodded. "Perfect." He activated Operation Minotaur. The Revenant transmitted falsified command codes into the Drexith battle network. In seconds, chaos erupted. Ships began firing on each other, confused by the manipulated target data. Missiles arced wildly, dreadnoughts spiraled into burning wreckage. Malik laughed in disbelief. "They're eating themselves alive." Vorn's voice cut through like steel. "They don't know what's happening. That's the point. We're not attacking them. We're making them attack themselves." The Revenant struck again, a ghost in the maelstrom. Plasma lances tore through command ships. Hunter-killers exploded in bright flashes. Not once did the Terran ship stay in one place. It phased, reappeared, struck, and vanished. The crew moved with relentless focus. Malik barked damage reports. Yareza recalculated phantom slip vectors mid-battle. Vorn stood silent, watching as the most feared fleet in the galaxy crumbled from within. Then the trap snapped shut. Malik's console flashed an emergency alert. "Sir! New contact! Sovereign-class Titan emerging from warp. It's It's the ossuary of eternity. The bridge fell silent. Even Vorn stiffened. The ossuary dwarfed any ship ever built, an ancient behemoth bristling with weapons capable of erasing moons. The Drexith voice boomed across all frequencies. Ghost ship. Human. You defy the final empire. You will die. The Revenant turned to face it. Vorn clenched his fists. Full combat spread. Arm everything. This was always going to happen. The first volley came without warning. The ossuary's main cannon, a particle beam wider than the Revenant itself, tore through space where the human ship had been seconds earlier. Yareza screamed. Shields holding but barely. We can't take another direct hit. Vorn remained calm. We won't. The Revenant darted like a shadow, weaving between death beams, launching torpedoes, cutting across the ossuary's massive hull like a surgeon's scalpel. Sections of the Titan detonated. The ossuary's voice remained cold, unshaken. Insignificant. You delayed the inevitable. Vorn leaned toward the calm. You know what I've learned about inevitability? It's usually wrong. The Revenant looped back and fired a salvo into the ossuary's exposed dorsal power relays. The explosion cascaded along the monster's spine. Alarms shrieked across the Revenant's bridge. Malik shouted. We've lost forward shielding. Hull breaches on deck 9. Fire's spreading. Yareza gasped. We can't win this. Vorn stared hard at the tactical display. His voice dropped to a whisper. We don't have to. He issued the order. Divert all power to the Phantom Core. Prepare for rift burst. The Drexith commander roared as its sensors registered the impossible. What are you doing? Vorn smiled darkly. Teaching you what human desperation looks like. The Revenant initiated an unstable slip jump inside the Drexith's shield perimeter, something no ship had ever dared. The rift wave shredded the ossuary's shielding, buckling armor, detonating internal reactors. The Titan cracked in half. The human ship barely limped away. Systems failing, engines crippled, hull ruptured. But they had survived. Yareza whispered in disbelief. We killed it. Vorn turned to his crew. One ship. Against their pride. We just made them mortal. The bridge fell into stunned silence, then erupted into exhausted, defiant cheers. Malik slumped back, laughing bitterly. They'll never understand what just happened. Vorn's face hardened. No. And that's their weakness. We adapt. They can't. We'll use that. Again and again. He looked once more into the starless void. This is just the beginning. The Revenant vanished once again into the darkness, the nightmare of the Drexith reborn as a legend they could not kill. The Revenant slid silently back into real space near the shattered remains of Drexith Relay Theta. Wreckage floated like ghosts of forgotten gods. The crew barely had time to breathe before Malik's voice cut through the heavy quiet. Intercepted comm traffic. They're hunting us. Drexith fleets are deploying in random patterns, entire battle groups turning on each other over false sightings. Vorn studied the data streams with cold satisfaction. They've never fought an enemy they can't see or predict. They're breaking under the weight of not knowing. Yareza whispered, half in awe. Sir, we've created hysteria. Vorn nodded grimly. Good. It's time to escalate. He activated the final stage of Operation Minotaur. The Revenant's AI injected itself into the Drexith command relay system. In seconds, billions of error codes spread like wildfire. Drexith warships began receiving contradictory orders. Entire fleets jumped into black holes, thinking they were chasing the human ghost. Commanders self-destructed flagships, believing they had been compromised. In the shadows of the bridge, Malik whispered what everyone was thinking. We've turned them into animals. Vorn's expression never softened. No. We've done worse. We've made them human. The next transmission chilled the crew. A Drexith voice, distorted and ragged, pierced the calm channel. Human ghost. Cease. We acknowledge error. Cease. The crew stared. The Drexith had never before used those words. Yareza whispered, stunned. They're begging. Vorn's reply was merciless. No. The Revenant surged toward Drexth's shipyard Nexus 7, the largest remaining military facility. It emerged from slip inside the perimeter shield, something no enemy had ever dared. Malik's jaw clenched. Sir, that's suicide. Vorn's voice was steel. They expect logic. Give them madness. The first salvo ripped through the Drexth outer defense rings before they even registered the incursion. Hunter-killers scrambled, confused and disorganized. The Revenant weaved between blasts, unloading torpedoes into the shipyard's energy cores. The core detonated in a lightless implosion, vaporizing the entire installation. Yareza gasped. 70 capital ships, gone. Vorn's reply was cold. One more weight on the breaking spine. As the Revenant jumped away, the calm lit again. A different Drexth voice, cracked and furious. You defy the final empire. You cannot win. Vorn leaned in slowly. We already are. The bridge alarms screamed. Malik cursed. New contact. Multiple slip signatures. Sir, we've triggered their contingency. The Crown Fleet. Every surviving Sovereign-class dreadnought converging on our last known vector. The tactical display bloomed red. 2,000 ships closing in. For the first time, Yareza whispered the thought they all shared. There's no way out. Vorn's gaze never wavered. There was never supposed to be. Prepare the Revenant Protocol. Gasps of shock filled the bridge. The Revenant Protocol was myth, a theoretical failsafe that no one believed existed. It involved overloading the Phantom Core and detonating a causal singularity, a weapon designed not to destroy matter, but to erase an enemy from history itself. Malik's voice cracked. Sir, that would wipe us too. It's irreversible. Vorn nodded. I know. They call themselves final. Let's redefine final. The Revenant raced through system after system, luring the Crown Fleet deeper into the expanse, into the very heart of the collapsing Karthus rift. Yareza stared at the swirling abyss ahead. If we go in, we don't come out. Vorn smiled faintly. That's the idea. The final calm transmission from the Drexth echoed across the stars. Human. Why? Why sacrifice? Vorn responded calmly. Because we're human. You never understood what that means. The Revenant entered the rift. Detonations rippled across the starfield as the pursuing dreadnoughts followed blindly into the trap. Inside the rift, Malik's voice was tense. Causal singularity at 90% charge. Yareza stood at her station, trembling. Sir, if we fail, they still win. Vorn shook his head slowly. They never win. Even if they kill us, they'll never forget who broke them first. The countdown neared 0. Vorn activated the ship's final log recorder. His last words would become legend. To any human hearing this, we fought not to survive, but to remind them we were never prey. We hunted the hunters. We outwitted the perfect. Tell them our story. Let them know the last Terran ship made gods fall. The singularity detonated. Silence. Galaxies away, ships belonging to dozens of terrified civilizations scanned the Drexth sectors. No response. No presence. No ships. No records. It was as if the Empire had never existed. The Revenant was gone. So was the monster it had hunted. But a whisper traveled the void for eons after. The humans had made gods bleed. The rift had claimed them. Or so it should have. The Revenant, scarred, crippled, yet impossibly intact, drifted within the twisted void between realities. Vorn gritted his teeth as the ship's alarms shrieked like dying animals. Malik slammed his fist on the console. I don't know how we're still alive. Hull integrity's at 20%. Phantom core's collapsing. We're out of time. Yareza's face was pale. They're here. Outside, the impossible happened. The Drexth Crown Fleet, now fully committed, had followed them into the rift. Colossal dreadnoughts flickered in and out of existence, reality itself rejecting them. But they came anyway, engines howling against the fabric of the universe. Vorn's voice was hard steel. They followed the bait. Now we finish this. Malik shook his head in disbelief. Sir, that's 2,000 ships. We can't win. Vorn stared coldly into the maelstrom. I don't intend to win. I intend to erase. The Revenant locked trajectory toward Karvas Prime, the Drexith homeworld, pulled into the rift by their pursuit. No shields. No backup. No chance. The Drexith commander broadcast across all channels. Pathetic creatures. You are alone. You have lost. Vorn replied with chilling calm. No. You have. The final command was given. Engage Revenant Protocol. Full singularity detonation on my mark. The Phantom Core screamed in protest. Energy levels surged past critical. Every screen flashed warnings. Yareza hesitated. Sir, this will kill us. Vorn's jaw tightened. If it ends them, it's worth it. Do it. The core charged. Outside, the Drexith fleet swarmed, releasing volleys of energy lances and dark matter torpedoes. The Revenant twisted and staggered under the assault but held its course. Malik's fingers flew over the console. Causal singularity at 85%. Time to detonation, 60 seconds. The voice of the Drexith High Sovereign boomed again. Stop. Cease. Negotiate. We acknowledge error. Vorn's eyes narrowed. They've never spoken those words before. Yareza whispered. They're afraid. Vorn's voice became a growl. Good. They should be. The countdown continued. The Revenant was on fire, airlocks venting into the rift, deck plating buckling. Crew members fought fires and sealed breaches by hand. The ship itself seemed to scream with them. Malik shouted. 95%! Hull breach on deck 7! If we stay, we die! Vorn stared at the screen. Karvas Prime filled the view, the heart of the Drexith Empire. Planet-sized. Unbreakable. The source of every nightmare. The final message came from the Sovereign, broken and desperate. Why? Why do this? Vorn's reply was ice. Because this is who we are. Humans are not prey. Humans are not defeated. Humans finish what we start. The crew braced. 0 hour approached. The singularity weapon began to unfold, collapsing spacetime around it. Gravity screamed. Reality fractured. Then, impossibly, the rift fought back. Energy surged backward. Malik's console exploded. Yareza was thrown across the bridge. The singularity twisted, not destroying the Drexith fleet but erasing it from history altogether. No wreckage. No survivors. No trace. 2,000 ships and a homeworld undone in a blink. The Revenant itself was consumed by the backlash. Vorn stood, arms at his sides, watching the end. His voice was soft. We showed them what final really means. The last log entry from the ship transmitted before it vanished. Vorn's voice, calm and unyielding, echoed into the void. If you find this message, know that we fought not for survival, but to prove that even gods can bleed. We rewrote what it means to lose. We stood alone, and we won. The Revenant was our blade, our shield, and our ghost. Remember us. Tell them the last Terran ship made them fall. The signal cut. Silence followed. The void swallowed the Revenant. On the edges of the galaxy, in the devastated systems once ruled by the Drexith, sensors detected nothing. No empire. No homeworld. No record. The Drexith had never existed. Whispers spread across the stars. A single Terran ship had destroyed the final empire. Entire species rebuilt, inspired by the legend of humanity's stand. No one ever found the Revenant. No one ever found Vorn. But the warning remained: if the stars ever birthed another tyrant, they would remember what had happened when gods tried to crush humanity. The humans had made the gods bleed. And the universe would never forget. The stars sang their ancient silence once more. The Drexith Dominion, once the most feared force ever born of metal and cruelty, was gone. No debris fields. No distress calls. No remnant. Entire sectors that once teemed with their monstrous fleets now lay cold and still. Galactic historians wept at the impossibility. Scientists argued that no known weapon could erase an entire species from existence itself. Yet it had happened. And only one name was whispered wherever sentient life still drew breath: Revenant. On the outer rim world of Velos, a Terran outpost received a scrambled transmission from the depths of deep space. The comm officer stared in disbelief. A single voice, distant and damaged, played through the speakers. "This is Commander Elias Vorn of the TCS Revenant. Mission parameters completed. Status unknown. If this message survives, tell them we fought for them. We ended the nightmare. The Drexith will not return. Humanity remains." The transmission ended. Nothing followed. Within days, word spread across the recovered systems. Survivors from worlds once enslaved by the Drexith staggered out of hiding. The insected Koroth tribes, the crystalline Yesari collectives, the wolf-like Turla clans, all crawled from the ashes expecting annihilation. Instead, they found peace. The humans had done the impossible. On the bridge of the Terran flagship Valiant, Admiral Soraya Danvers stood with her senior staff listening to the recording for the 100th time. "Is it real?" her communications officer whispered. Danvers's voice was low but resolute. "It's Vorn. No doubt. The Revenant was no myth." The room fell silent. The galaxy had changed. Forever. On Korathus Prime, the Yes-Sari Queen addressed her people. "For eons we called them primitive. We mocked their biology, their short lifespans, their chaotic thinking. But when all others fled or bowed, it was the humans who stood." Across Turla 9, war-hardened packs gathered under the blood moons to howl a single phrase into the night. They made the gods bleed. Even on neutral trading hubs like Varkas Station, smugglers, diplomats, and criminals alike raised glasses in silent respect. The legend of the Revenant evolved rapidly. Some said the crew survived and drifted between stars as eternal guardians, ready to return should another empire rise. Others believed the ship had merged with the rift and became part of the fabric of the universe, a cosmic watchdog whose very presence kept tyrants from seizing power again. Vorn's final message became the rallying cry of the new galactic accord. Species once isolated and mistrustful forged treaties under a single promise: never again. At the first Accord Summit on Haven's Reach, the newly elected speaker, a frail yet defiant human named Admiral Danvers, addressed the gathered leaders. "We were weak once. Divided. Mocked as lesser beings. And yet when the Drexith came, no one else stood. No one else dared. We fought not because we believed we could win, but because surrender was never an option. That is what defines humanity. That is why the name Revenant will be written in the stars forever." Thunderous applause shook the hall. A decade passed. Then a century. Still, no Drexith remnants were ever found. The universe quietly moved forward under the shadow of what had been done. Children in distant colonies learned the tale in hushed tones before bed. Captains of ships placed miniature replicas of the Revenant on their bridges as protection charms. One such ship, the civilian freighter Star Wanderer, drifted through an unexplored sector when its sensors flickered. A faint energy anomaly blinked into existence for precisely 4 seconds. No shape. No mass. Just a spectral signature. The pilot stared in stunned silence. His co-pilot whispered, "What is it?" The pilot, with a slow, disbelieving smile, answered, "I don't know. But if I had to guess, I'd say it was a ghost." The anomaly vanished. Galactic historians catalogued the incident under unexplained phenomena. Officially, no evidence was recorded. Unofficially, the legend only grew. On Earth, beneath the glass dome of the Memorial Plaza, the engraved names of the Revenant's crew shimmered under eternal starlight. At the center, carved deeper than any other, were the words left by Elias Vorn. "We did not fight to survive. We fought to remind them we exist. We fought because no empire, no god, no monster will ever silence us. We are humanity. And we endure." Each year, thousands of species gathered at the memorial to pay tribute. Turla warchiefs laid down their weapons. Yes, sorry song priests wove crystalline wreaths of remembrance. Even former enemies of the Terran Confederation paid their respects. The galaxy remained free. No power dared rise with iron in its heart. They knew the price. And somewhere, perhaps at the edges of known space, unseen but ever present, a single Terran warship waited in the dark. Its engines cold, its crew gone, but its purpose eternal. The Revenant. Humanity's ghost. The nightmare that made the gods bleed.